Hello everybody, the Nameless Narcissist here once again, a simple man diagnosed with NPD, giving you the facts about narcissistic personality disorder and things that go on in my head. If you like this video, please like, comment, and subscribe, but keep in mind I am no clinician. I can only speak to my own experiences and the studies I read. I should be a clinician. Anyways, so this is a video I've been meaning to make for a while, because I think this is probably the thing that really does frustrate me the most. And before I get into this, I know that I'm not going to be able to appeal to everybody, but I just kind of want to make a statement on it. So obviously, I'm sure a lot of you see around, okay, first of all, there's two groups that I'm going to be referring to in this. And this isn't aimed at anybody by any means. It's just a pattern that I've been seeing that I really do not like. So the first group, and there's subgroups of bigger groups, right? I tend to have three kinds of people watch my content, which is one, cluster Bs who feel like they can relate, two, people who have been hurt by people like me and are trying to seek healing and help and understanding, and three, therapists, which way more therapists watch my stuff than I ever expected, according to that survey I did. But there's also subsets in those groups, obviously, as there will be in any group. And two of them in particular I really find toxic. I'm sure that you guys have seen people who are like, narcissists can't change, they can't be self-aware, they're monsters, demons, I hate them, etc., etc., etc. And on the other hand, we have a subgroup in like the cluster Bs who want to be in complete denial about the fact that we hurt people or that's related to the disorder, and that me talking about the hurt that we cause is like stigmatizing, right? And obviously one of my goals is to destigmatize, is to explain that we're not monsters intentionally hurting people, that we're just broken people trying our best to, get our needs met and hurting a lot of people along the way. I'll never deny it. I've hurt a lot of people. But I find both of these groups so black and white in their thinking, and it's so disingenuous, right, to the reality of the situation. There's plenty of narcissists out there like me who are trying desperately to change, and obviously we can change. You guys know my sins, right? And on the other hand, it's so disingenuous to ignore the fact that we hurt people. How are we supposed to be honest and engage in a real dialogue if we can't even acknowledge that basic fact? And I want to point out, if you watch my content, honestly, this video might be kind of pointless because, like, you guys know what's up, right? But it's just something that has frustrated me so much lately. Because it feels like I can't please everybody, but it feels like there's two rather sizable portions of viewers who I will never be able to relate to or get through to, relay my message to or get through to, because they won't open their minds to like the other perspectives. You guys know my channel. I am dedicated to understanding people better. I am dedicated to having a dialogue where we can all understand each other and grow from that, right? Nobody's going to heal by like hating cluster Bs like horribly, right? And nobody's going to heal if we can't even accept, and for the cluster B side, nobody can heal if we don't acknowledge some of our behaviors that are toxic and that need help, right? The behaviors that also are destroying our lives a lot of the times. Not to mention, like, it's like this helps everybody to understand, not to demonize, but to recognize both these things, right? The more destigmatized these disorders are, the more people are going into therapy, they get the help that they need, and also less people get hurt. And on the other side of things, we will be more effective at healing and at not ruining our lives if we can acknowledge the hurt that we did. I am so happy with my audience because you guys are so open-minded to the other side, right? You wouldn't be here if you weren't. A lot of cluster Bs here, like, we've learned so much from quote-unquote normal people, or people just without cluster B disorders, and you guys have learned a lot too, about the way I think, and obviously it gives people a lot of closure now. Oh, I wasn't being preyed upon by some malicious monster. Don't get me wrong, there's going to be some people like that, right? But it's not the majority of cluster Bs at all. And to understand that the abuse or hurt that you had to go through wasn't intentional, That it wasn't like, oh, I'm a weak person who is so easily exploited by narcissists. And also it helps for your growth too, right? Understanding that, well, takes two to tango. That I always say in every single relationship, no matter how bad it was, there is something that you can take from it to work on yourself, right? I mean, hell, even if you were in such a toxic relationship that you were like being beaten or, financially abused or like gaslit 24/7, you can ask yourself, why did I stay in that relationship? What trauma have I endured to make me stay in that relationship, right? I used to be kind of in denial about that idea right there, that like there's healing on their side to do in situations like that, but now I like very much believe it. But I think I view, it's so bizarre to me that so many people view the situation that happens with cluster Bs, and they view like cluster Bs and people who they affected as like some war, right? It's narcissists versus empaths, right? And that's just not the reality. Nobody wants to, most people don't want to hurt the other side. I mean, I've got some awful comments about, especially when I talk about the suicide rate, saying that they wish more people would. And I'm like, ooh, that's a lot. What the fuck is wrong with you? I lack empathy. Which I find so funny because, what makes you better than a narcissist at that point? Not to say that narcissists want people to kill themselves like that, but yeah, I hope you understand what I mean. But it's not a war. We're all just fucking broken ass people trying to heal. And to heal, we should be understanding each other, right? It's wild that I feel like I'm giving a controversial opinion by saying this, by saying that we can hurt people and by saying that we need to understand each other. It's almost mind-boggling to me sometimes. And I get it. Back in the day, I used to be way more about the, oh, we don't hurt people aspect, I used to kind of cling on to that a little bit. I think some of my things were still accurate and helped me heal and grow myself. I used to be like, my disorder didn't make me hurt people. I chose to hurt people, get my needs met because of my disorder. And to a certain degree, that's also true. And I think that helps me take accountability. But let's be real, if I didn't have the disorder, either way, I wouldn't be hurting people at least as much. Everybody hurts people, right? But not as pervasively. It's sad because it feels like all people are just not taking responsibility, right? Both cluster Bs and non-cluster Bs. And that's the thing, why are you even engaging these communities if you're not willing to grow? Right? Isn't that the purpose? If you're a narcissistic abuse community, you should be what's the word? You should be trying to heal and not just place all the blame on somebody else. And if you're a cluster B, obviously you're trying to heal because we have disorders that are fucking hellish to live with. And we should be taking responsibility for the people we hurt. That's part of healing. That's part of growing. And this was inspired because Spirit Narc is afraid to acknowledge any of the hurt that she caused because she feels that she's going to get canceled by her audience. Person I just did an interview with, I forgot to repost her thing, but she's a cluster B. She's a Steph Struggles. She's a cluster B advocate, and she acknowledges the hurt that we have caused, the behaviors that we exhibit that do hurt people, and she is being harassed by people saying that she feeds into NPD stigma because she's like, yeah, narcissists can hurt people, yeah, borderlines can hurt people, etc., etc. And I was also inspired by Dimming the Gaslight. I don't think I announced that, but I went on a podcast called Dimming the Gaslight and I had an interview with him. And afterwards, we talked, we're like, yeah, it's great that we're the people who are trying to bridge the gap, so to speak, trying to make people understand each other, trying to create a dialogue. And I also understand being in that mindset, right? Because it's that I do feel like that's a step to healing. But healing, as I always say, I stole this from Mark Edenson, Heal MPD, healing does not end there. It never ends there. You can never fully heal just through hate, right? And that's and also, I want to clarify that for the people who don't know that narcissists can change and stuff like that. I do not blame people for having those views, because look at social media, look at go type in narcissist into Google and see what comes up, right? It's the people who aren't open-minded about it that I'm talking about. Because, like, you can't expect, like, maybe you can expect it a little bit. I mean, you can blame them a little bit, but, like, you gotta do a fucking deep dive, right? And then everyone around you is also saying, oh, narcissists are evil, they're manipulating all the time, blah, blah, blah. So, it's like, again, I don't blame, like, people on this channel. I know that there's so many of you who went into my content with that belief. But you guys were open-minded enough to be like, oh, okay, like, this isn't what I thought it was. Like, I was still hurt, I'm still hurt, I'm still trying to heal, but it's not what I thought. And I respect that a lot, honestly. You're probably more open-minded than I am. I mean, you guys see how mad I can get at people who disagree with me, right? And so, yeah, I very much commend that. And I don't have, along those lines, I guess I don't have much to say about cluster B communities, because it's like, I don't know, you guys should be open-minded too, I guess, but I understand a lot less. Because I don't know how you can be aware that you have a cluster B without kind of being aware that, like, you hurt a lot of people in your life. So, I don't know. And again, I'm not saying all, like, there's going to be some cluster Bs, like the the ones that don't hurt people, and the majority of them don't abuse. But I would say most of us hurt people. It's hard not to when for people like me, when you only know how to engage in the world through manipulation and through aggression. That, like, we never were shown, like, real love, right? How are we supposed to be traumatized really young and know how to engage in a loving and empathetic manner? But yeah, so that's my statement on that. Fuck those guys. Nah, I'm joking. Just keep an open mind, try to heal, try to understand. This channel's awesome for that. I have learned fucking a lot here. Take your fucking meds, please.